What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We're going to go through some round of 16 picks for the Madrid Masters. Let's take a look at the draw. Here's a look at Sinner's quarter. And first match we're going to look at is Jannik Sinner against Cam Norrie. Sinner able to get through Moeller in straight sets, 6-2, 6-3. That was a pretty straightforward affair, as we had predicted it would be. One thing I will say, I was impressed with how Moeller played in the second set. I thought he was toe-to-toe with Sinner for about half the set, not matching the power, but able to absorb the power and redirect it on the forehand side, able to kind of inflict some power on his backhand side. The only problem was when they got to, I believe it was 3-all, Moeller throws in back-to-back double faults to get broken, and we know Sinner's not going to let anything like that pass him by. He breaks, he holds to get a 6-3 win in the second set and advance to the round of 16. He will play Cam Norrie, who was able to beat Taranti, and this obviously a much tougher match for Norrie. And we got to give Norrie some credit. Taranti a very good clay court grinder, and I was curious how we watched Taranti beat Paul by using that kick serve so effectively to push Paul out wide on the ad side. And he did use that against Norrie. I had noted that I thought the Norrie forehand would be able to neutralize that pretty easily, and it honestly really didn't. The big difference here for me was Norrie didn't give up much space on his backhand side. He was able to take a lot of the forehand cross that Taranti was giving him to his backhand side. He was able to take a lot of those early, redirect pace if needed. We saw a lot of down the line backhands where Norrie's inside the court taking the ball on the rise. Just extremely effective and smart tennis from Cam Norrie. And we got a few errors in that breaker to give Norrie the 7-6 win in the second. And looking at this head-to-head now with Norrie and Sinner, they have not met, which is a little bit surprising, given that both these guys have been on the tour for a while, and both of them have been advancing in deeper into some tournaments. Obviously, Norrie not so much, but this year he's been playing pretty well. Jannik Sinner comes in. He's 7-0 on the clay, 11-2 last year, 11-2 the year before. Cam Norrie, on the other hand, 5-2 on the clay, 14-7 last year, 8-8 the year before. Sinner with wins over Benjamin Bonzi in 3 sets and Moeller in straights. Cam Norrie with a straight set win over Taranti and a 3-set win over Mahach. And you look at Norrie having played 3 of his 5 sets have been breakers, and that just shows you, that speaks to the mental toughness of Cam Norrie. He did lose a breaker where he had opportunities against Mahach, but then was able to just bounce right back and get it and win a third set breaker, which is sometimes very difficult for people to do. Let's take a look at the time on court here. Sinner's at 3 hours and 37 minutes. Norrie is at 4 hours and 42 minutes. I mean, not really much more I want to say about this match, guys. I'm pretty sure the power of Sinner is going to really oppose Cam Norrie. I don't know if Norrie can really do anything to disrupt the rhythm of Jannik Sinner. I will say, when Cam Norrie was able to beat Carlos last year, I just want to see which tournament that was, because I want to get it right here. He beat Carlos in Paris, indoor hard court, and it was he beat him in 3 sets. And what I was going to say there is I really liked the way that Norrie kind of put a lot of pressure on Carlos, didn't let him get into a rhythm, was serving and volleying, returning and volleying. Every chance he got to take the ball early and come in, he was doing that. And that really kind of made Carlos Alcaraz a little bit uncomfortable in the match, and Norrie was able to get a nice win there. I bring that up because I wonder if doing a similar thing to Sinner would bother him and just kind of challenge the footwork a little bit, the movements. But I just can't really see Norrie doing anything consistently enough to win 2 sets against Sinner. I think this is going to be Sinner in straights. So give me Jannik Sinner to advance in 2. Next match, we have Kopriva against Jodar. Kopriva able to get through Rinderknecht by retirement, and he came out looking very good. He was dictating with his shots, his forehand, his backhand. He was able to track down a lot of the drop shots that Rinderknecht was hitting. So overall, the first set, a very strong performance by Kopriva. And it got a little dicey in the second. At 3-1, Rinderknecht feels his calf a little bit, has the trainer come out to treat it, comes back out. It's clear his movement is hampered from it. But Kopriva kind of let the nerves set in, I think. It's always really tough playing an opponent who's injured, because you just put so much pressure on yourself to move them or put them in a position where they're using the injured body part. Rinderknecht starts to throw in drop shots, coming into net, hitting some short balls, and it starts to work. He wins the second set 6-3 and then decides to retire, which makes sense. With calf injuries, they're a little bit messy, so you don't wanna push yourself too hard. And I think Rinderknecht kind of realized that he could serve it out. He could serve the second set out and maybe see if the painkillers and stuff start to work, but to no avail. And Kopriva is able to advance 6-4, 3-6, retired. And he's going to face Jodar, who had a massive win over João Fonseca. And this was a perfect example of power on the clay court. I mean, these guys were just roping shots back and forth and lots of shot making. Jodar having the last laugh. I'm definitely disappointed with what we got from Fonseca in that third set. I expected it to be a lot better than a 6-1. I mean, he was down 5-0 and had to really push to get that one game. Fonseca was able to get a break in the first game of the second set, and I thought that really did a good job to kind of set the tone for him throughout the set. He was able to loosen up a little bit. I thought we saw a few too many errors from Fonseca, especially in the breaker as well. Jodar coming up with some massive winners, but overall, a nice performance for Fonseca. I'm just a little bit disappointed that that third set was not a challenge set, given the fact that Fonseca is the higher ranked player and has like that pressure that he can implement onto Jodar. Both these guys, when they connected with their forehand, the point was over. I loved what I saw from Jodar. He was moving really well. He was finding his shots. He was able to hit behind Fonseca a few times. And I mean, guys, like how many times do we see in this match the other guy completely frozen because the ball is just moving so fast past them? This was an impressive win for Jodar, and he just continues to look better and better. He is sitting at 11-1 right now on the clay, 3-1 last year, 6-4 the year before. Jodar has now made it out to the round of 16, beating De Jong, De Minaur, and now Fonseca. Kopriva, on the other hand, is 11-7 on the clay, 25-13 last year, 21-16 the year before. He was able to beat Zhang, Rublev, and Rinderknecht. Only 2 sets, did drop that set to Rinderknecht, but got the retirement. For me, guys, there's 2 things that I'm curious about. No head-to-head here for these guys. We got Jodar's got about 5 hours and 53 minutes on court compared to Kopriva's 3 hours and 43. The thing that I'm curious about is, do we think that Jodar is going to struggle with the style of Kopriva? We talk about how Kopriva is able to hit these flat balls, and it might be a little bit harder for Jodar to come up and over that ball and really rope it. So I'll be interested to see, if Kopriva has a bunch of flat shots that he's able to hit with the backhand. We know he loves his backhand. He has that flatter forehand. Is that going to bother Jodar because he's not going to be able to hit the ball right around chest level and just rope all his shots? For me, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I think that we're going to see Jodar roll here into the quarterfinals. The only thing that I really feel like is going to stand in his way is the nerves that he'll have, maybe potentially getting to a Master Series quarterfinal. A big opportunity here, playing an unranked player to get out of the round of 16. 11-1 right now. His one loss coming to Arthur Feast. And we talked about, in my opinion, how similar Feast and Fonseca kind of played with that big forehand. But to me, the difference was the speed and anticipation of Feast. I feel like the minute that Jodar got onto the offense against Fonseca, it felt like the point was over. Where if he did that against Feast, we saw Feast kind of tracking some of those shots down and able to change the defense back into offense for himself. Fonseca, he was able to do that from time to time. Obviously, he's able to pull out a very strong forehand if he has to. But I'm talking about the ones where, Jodar is moving you back and forth, and you have to be able to turn that into either a neutral position or an offensive position. And I just didn't see Fonseca do that enough. For this matchup, I gotta go with Jodar, guys. I don't think there's much question, just given what he's done here, beating Demonar, beating Fonseca. I think he's gonna move on past Kopriva. Kopriva getting slightly lucky, I guess. I think he would have been able to pull out that third set, but Kopriva so far has played a Rublev that is tired from the Barcelona match a few days ago, and then Rinderknecht, who had to retire with a calf injury. So I haven't seen the best of Kopriva. I can see how his game could potentially give Jodar problems, but right now I gotta go with the hot hand, and that's Rafa Jodar. Give me Jodar to advance in straight sets. And here's a look at Center's quarter of the draw with our round of 16 picks here. And a Sinner Jodar quarterfinal would definitely be enticing. Can you imagine what the crowd will be like? Especially the crowd was so wild for Fonseca and Jodar. I can't imagine what it would be like if Jodar gets the opportunity to go up against the number one player in the world. Definitely looking forward to that, guys. Let me know what you think. Let's move on to the next part of the draw. Let's look at Shelton's quarter of the draw. First match we're going to talk about is Etcheverry against Feast. Etcheverry able to get through Prismic, and we talked about this match, and we said if it goes 3 sets, it's got to be advantage Etcheverry because of how much time Prismic has spent on court. I believe he was floating around 9 hours on court. When he came out in that first set, it looked like it was going to just be an absolute steamroll. And we got to credit Etcheverry to just dig his teeth in and come back and win this match. Prismic in the first set was unreal. He was just roping forehands left and right, freezing Etcheverry. You just don't see that very often. It felt like he was hitting the forehand faster than most players that Etcheverry has played. And I mean, Etcheverry played Sebastian Offner, and Offner not a great player, but he does whack the ball very well. Like, he can really hit into that and add some power into that shot. But this was a totally different level of pace. Prismic's doing a great job opening the court up and really clubbing the ball to the open court. They have a tough back and forth second set, and Etcheverry able to get the break to win 6-4, and then he wins the third set 6-3. And that was something that we had talked about a little bit. I really felt like Prismus was not going to be able to play 100% for this full match. I thought if it went to 3, you would have to favor Etcheverry, given the fact that he's just the type of guy that likes to grind you down and make you work for every single point. Now, we noticed a little bit here in the first set, Etcheverry's positioning was very deep. He was looking to defend a lot of shots, and, rightfully so. You have a guy that's got about 9 hours on court. You're trying to test you're trying to test the legs of Prismic. And when Prismic started to open up the court and start roping shots, Etcheverry had to make an adjustment. And in the second set, we saw that adjustment. He was able to come up a little bit closer to the baseline, play some of the balls a little bit earlier, which limited Prismic's ability to hit and have time to really hit that big forehand. And that was a little bit of a change that I saw from Etcheverry that I thought was extremely effective against Prismic. Next match was Feast against Nava, and Feast able to advance 7-6, 6-3. This was a very impressive win for Feast. We know Nava's a pretty solid clay court player, and he got his signature win against Vachero last round. We were wondering if maybe there would be a little bit of a hangover from a win like that for Emilio Nava, and there wasn't. I mean, he came out and hit the ground running, really pushing Arthur Feast to the limit. When they got into the breaker, the errors of Nava kind of surfaced a little bit, and we noticed that Feast was putting constant pressure throughout the first set on the Emilio Nava serve. And finally, that kind of hits like a boiling point where he drops a couple of his serves in the breaker, and Feast is able to get a nice 7-6 win there. And then Feast able to break and get a 6-3 win. I believe Nava only had 2 break points and converted one of them. So we really gotta look a little bit deeper into maybe some of these matches, because only 2 break points just shows you how well Arthur Feast was taking care of his serve. I think he understood, especially when you get up a break in the second set like that, just take care of your serve, and then you'll be able to get out and you'll be in the locker room celebrating your round of 16 appearance. So great win for Arthur Feast. He now takes on Etcheverry. Head-to-head is 1-0 for Etcheverry. They met in a challenger back in 2022. It was on the clay, and this was a 1-6, 6-3, 3-0 win for Etcheverry. And the 6-1 set really stands out to me. And I wonder, what the ailment was here. Could have been Feast's back, but that 6-1 set is kind of where I was going here with the round of 16. Do I think it's going to be that straightforward? Probably not, but I think it's going to be Arthur Feast here. Arthur Feast coming in, he's 7-0 on the clay, 10-4 last year, 14-10 the year before. Etcheverry, on the other hand, 15-4 on the clay this year, 9-14 last year, 19-13 the year before. Remember, Etcheverry able to win Rio, a 500, and that's a big accomplishment for him. And he did that having to play matches in back-to-back days. Played the semifinal the morning and then the final in the afternoon. I mean, that stuff's just very impressive coming from Etcheverry to be able to grind out a tough win like that on the South American clay. Feast able to beat Buse in 3 sets and Nava in straights to make it out to the round of 16. Etcheverry, on the other hand, beat Offner in straights and Prismic in 3 sets. And guys, I'm looking at the European swing here for Etcheverry. Able to beat Dimitrov, Atman, Draper, and Offner, but also and Prismic, but also has 2 losses. One to Carlos Alcaraz, a tough 3-setter. and one to Nuno Borges, who was able to exploit the up and back and the depth that Etcheverry has on some of these rallies, how deep he is on the court. I think Feast is just going to be able to power through this. We saw Prismage do it for a set, and I think we're going to be able to see Feast do this here. I'm a little bit scared, I think, of Etcheverry. I liked the way he served against against Offner. But I gotta go with Feast here. I think it's gonna be a straight setter. I think it's gonna be like 2-2, guys. Like I just don't see Etcheverry posing much resistance here. So give me Arthur Feast to advance in straights. And the final match we're gonna talk about today is Lehecka against Musetti. Lehecka able to get through Mickelson. Not really much I want to say about this match. It really felt like Lehecka wasn't really even trying. He knew his B game was going to be able to beat Mickelson on this clay. The minute he got Mickelson moving a little bit, it was just completely gone for him. I did like a few times we saw Mickelson able to attack the ball and come into net and use that effectively, but that's kind of Mickelson attacking on his own terms. Where Lehecka, when he was able to get control of the center of the court, when he moves Mickelson side to side or up and back with the drop shot, that to me is when you saw how uncomfortable Mickelson was on the clay. And Lehecka able to get through 6-4, 6-2 to advance to the round of 16. He will take on Lorenzo Musetti, who took out Griekspoor. And guys, Griekspoor playing pretty well. I thought this was a very good match, and Musetti was up a set and a break early in the second set, and then things got a little bit messy. But you gotta credit Griekspoor. His forehand was booming today. He was able to control a lot of the court. He gave Musetti a lot of fits here, but Lorenzo Musetti, just the class of the clay court, and he's able to survive 6-4, 7-5 over Griekspoor. He was able to pick it up a little bit on the return games as well towards the end of that set and put a lot of pressure on Talon Griekspoor, and able to get that break at the end of the match to get that straight set win. Pretty good for Musetti here. And again, guys, we talk about the opportunity here that presents itself for Musetti to make it out to a quarter, and he's going to play an exhausted Arthur Feast. So this should be a semi for him. We'll have to see how it goes. Looking at their head-to-head here, Lehecka Musetti, it is 2-1 for Lehecka. Let's go through these three matches here. Lehecka able to beat Musetti 6-3, 1-6, 7-5 in the quarterfinals of Rotterdam. That's indoor hard court. Lehecka then able to get another win in 2023, 6-4, 6-4 in Miami, the second round. That's outdoor hard court. And Musetti able to beat Lehecka in Monte Carlo last year in 2025, 1-6, 7-5, 6-2 in the second round. And that's more of what I kind of am expecting here from Musetti. Musetti coming in, he's 4-2 right now on the clay, 19-4 last year, 18-10 the year before. Lehecka, on the other hand, 4-1 right now on the clay, 5-5 last year, 4-1 the year before. Lehecka getting a win over Tabilo in straight sets, and we talked a little bit about that match and how disappointed we were that Tabilo just not able to convert the opportunities that he had to win a match like that. It was tough. That's a tough match for Tabilo, and a great match for Lehecka to get through as well. We know Tabilo was playing solid clay court tennis. Lehecka then able to get through Mickelson in straight sets. Musetti, on the other hand, able to beat Hurkacz in straights and Griekspoor in straights. Musetti has been getting better and better as this tournament goes on, and as the clay season starts to progress, we're seeing a lot of promising things from Lorenzo Musetti, and this would certainly be another step forward for him. For me, the biggest thing with Lehecka, and we talk about this a lot, is being able to kind of target away from the forehand of Lehecka. That is a very lethal weapon, but the one thing that I really like is the defense of Musetti. I feel like that's extremely underrated, is how quick Musetti is around the court, especially on the clay. He just glides so smoothly, and I think playing some strong defense against Lehecka is going to give him some issues because he's going to have to hit one or two or maybe even three really good shots to get through Musetti in a point. So that's where I'm kind of like favoring Musetti here. I'm surprised that, the head-to-head with Lehecka, but also the fact that Lehecka took a 6-1 set in Monte Carlo, the match that Musetti won. I gotta pick Musetti here, guys. For me, I feel like this is a must-win. He's gotten a really nice draw, and he's got to get out to the quarterfinals here. If he can get out to the semis or even the finals, this is a way. I don't think he's getting the finals though. That would mean he'd have to beat Sinner. But for sure, if he beats Sinner, the confidence is going to be booming going into Rome. But he continues to get better and better, Musetti, and I'm very impressed with how much this improvement is happening and how fast it has been. Sometimes these guys, it takes a few months to get back to that high level. Musetti playing such good tennis before taking a few months off, but playing such good tennis in the Australian Open. I'm going to take Musetti here, guys. I think it's going to be a 3-setter, but again, if you ask me who am I going to trust at 5-all in a third set, Lehecka or Musetti, I'm taking Musetti all the time. So give me Musetti here to advance here in 3. And here's a look at Shelton's quarter of the draw. We would have a Feast and Musetti quarterfinal. And if I'm being serious, guys, I really think Musetti's going to take advantage of that match. That would be a rematch of the Barcelona quarterfinal. So it'd be another quarterfinal where these guys would meet. I think Musetti's going to be able to get a little bit of the revenge there over Feast. We will have to see. Let me know what you guys think. Post your picks in the comments. And here's a look at our third round records. 5-3 for me, so not too bad. But the Pamplemousse having a great day, 6-1. Missed the Musetti match. I assume Pamplemousse was going to call Musetti to win that, so probably a 7-1 day for the Pamplemousse, and we'll see how we do tomorrow. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We will have a video out for every single day of the Madrid Masters, recapping and talking about the picks coming up. So look out for those to keep up on everything tennis. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.